Okay, so ready to dive into something a little spooky today. The Blair Witch Project. But we're not just talking about the movie itself, right?
No, not at all. This film, went way beyond the screen. It became this whole cultural phenomenon. It's like a case study in how to scare people with, well, almost nothing.
Exactly. You've handed me articles, interviews,
Hmm?
even like old internet forum threads about it. Where do we even start with a film like this?
I think the brilliance of this Blair Witch Project, it's in its simplicity. Three film students just disappear in the woods, right?
Yeah.
Making a documentary about a local legend, that's it. But the way they made something so simple, so scary, that's what's fascinating.
Yeah, it's what you don't see. It's like it's playing on that fear of the unknown, like that primal thing where you're scared of what's just out of sight.
Precisely. It's suggestion. They don't show you a monster, they show you like a pile of rocks carefully placed outside the tent or something moving in the dark, just a glimpse. Those moments where you're not sure, that's what really gets to you.
And it feels so real. That shaky camera, the actors freaking out. It's like a home video gone wrong.
Oh, that's no accident. The filmmakers, they blurred the lines on purpose. Handheld cameras, which were still pretty new then, gave it that documentary feel.
Did they make the actors improvise a lot too?
They did. Just general outlines, no script. The actors reacted to whatever happened, which made it feel real, like that scene where they find those stick figures hanging in the trees. The actors had no idea their fear is real.
Wow, intense. But before we get too deep into the filmmaking, we got to talk about the legend itself, right? The Blair Witch.
Absolutely, that's the whole backdrop. And it's a story that's been around in Maryland like for centuries. Starts back in 1785 with this woman, Ellie Kedward.
Okay, I'm already creeped out.
Yeah.
Who was she and what happened?
So, Ellie Kedward, she was an outcast. Accused of luring kids from the village, Blair at Burkittsville, now into her home, to supposedly take their blood. We'll never know if it was true or just fear and superstition back then. But the villagers, they were terrified, banished her into the woods in the middle of winter, left her to die.
That's harsh. But that's not all, is it?
No, no. The next winter, some of the people who accused her and a bunch of kids, they vanished. Gone. People thought Ellie cursed the town from beyond the grave. Terrified, the villagers just abandoned Blair, swore never to speak of her or what happened ever again.
And the legend was born. But it didn't end there, did it? Whatever was going on, it didn't stop with Ellie.
It did not. In 1825, there are stories of a young girl dragged into Tappy East Creek by a pale, ghostly hand. Witnesses said the creek ran thick with these oily bundles of sticks for days.
Okay, now that's just creepy. And this creek, Tappy East Creek, that's where the film students disappear, right in the movie.
Very same.
Ugh, chills. So they're making a documentary in the exact spot where this awful legend happened. Bold move.
And they knew it. They chose places right out of the stories. Coffin Rock, where they say those searchers were found murdered back in 1886.
Wait, hold on. More murders connected to this Blair Witch.
Sadly, yeah. That year, a search party looking for a missing kid, they vanished in those woods. Bodies found tied together, disemboweled, brutal stuff really cemented the legend in people's minds. Then, in 1941,
There's more. It just keeps getting worse. Tell me, tell me.
so in 41, 7 children go missing in Burkittsville. Months go by, no answers. Then a local hermit, Rustin Parr, he confesses to the crimes, says he was possessed by an old woman's spirit, probably Ellie Kedward. She made him do it, kill those kids.
Okay, hold on. That is terrifying. This isn't just some campfire story. There's some seriously messed up history behind this legend.
You got it. And that's the power of the Blair Witch Project. They took these real events, these unsettling stories, and wove them into this feeling of dread that just hangs over the whole film.
So you've got these three filmmakers, cameras in hand, heading into these woods. Talk about tempting fate. What could go wrong, right?
Well, that's what we're about to find out. But before we get into their journey and all that went down in those woods, we need to talk about the filmmakers themselves and the ingenious, if kind of cruel, ways they made this movie feel so real.
Yeah, they really were ingenious. I mean, these filmmakers behind Blair Witch, they knew how to push buttons instead of a script. Challenges, things to make the actors scared, paranoid for real.
No kidding, like making a horror movie, about making a horror movie almost. But isn't that kind of ethically iffy, messing with them that much for a reaction?
People still debate that, big time. But can't argue with results, right? That scene, they're arguing, flashlight flicks across something outside the tent. Not planned. One of the crew messing with them.
Get out! Seriously.
Their freak out, the way they scramble back, that's a 100% real fear.
And we're seeing it all through those cameras, makes it so immediate, you're right there.
Right. Handheld cameras back then, 99, that was revolutionary. Broke that wall down, audience and screen, you weren't watching, you were experiencing it, shaky footage and all. And then that ending. Or is it lack of ending? I mean, we know they vanish, but still, the way it plays out, so unsettling.
That's the brilliance. They don't show it. They don't need to. Your mind fills it in, and what you imagine, way worse than anything on film.
Talk about leaving and wanting more, even if more is just a decent night's sleep after. But seriously, Mike, facing the wall in that basement,
Yeah.
what's your take?
Oh, man. Theories for days online. Blair Witch made him do it. He went nuts from everything. I think it's beautiful because it's open-ended. You decide.
Yeah.
Keeps that legend alive, you know.
And that's what happened when it came out. People thought it was real. Searching online, trying to find these missing kids.
Marketing gold D. And they played it up so well. 99, internet's still kind of new. Viral marketing, nobody's doing that yet. But fake news articles, missing person sites, whole thing.
And people bought IT. Like they were solving the mystery along with the movie.
Blair Witch. It hit something primal. Went beyond just a movie. That fear of the unknown, the stuff we can't explain. And prove you don't need fancy effects, gore, none of that. Just a shaky camera, some woods, and letting the audience's imaginations do the rest.
Power of a good story. Told right. But beyond all that, the impact, the marketing, how does it hold UP as a film? Years later, is it still good?
Yeah.
It's tough, you know. I go back and forth. On the one hand, it's effective, no doubt. That feeling of being stuck there with them in those woods, that stuck with me. But I can see it. Some people, they'd find it slow, maybe even frustrating.
Yeah, it's not going to be for everyone, that's for sure. It takes its time, relies more on atmosphere, that psychological tension, than jump scares and all that. But for me, that's what works. It gets under your skin, sticks with you long after it's over.
And it got people talking.
Yeah.
What was real, what it all meant. You don't see that with every film.
Absolutely. The Blair Witch Project, it was an experience, not just a movie. It changed what a horror movie could be. Sometimes the scariest stuff is all in your head, you know?
So how do you rate something like that? Divisive but impactful, kicked off a whole genre, scared the pants off people, left its mark. It's got to be tough.
It really is, objectively. Just on the technical stuff. Maybe it doesn't hit a perfect 5. That shaky cam can be rough, and yeah, the pacing isn't always perfect. But take into account what it did, the originality, the way it gets in your head and stays there, I got to give it a 4 out of 5.
You know what? I'm with you. 4 out of 5. It dared to be different, worked within its limits, and because of that, it did something amazing.
And the legacy. All the found footage films that came after, some good, some not so much. But few of them have that raw, visceral terror that the Blair Witch Project had.
Yeah, it's a reminder. Sometimes the scariest things, they're the ones you can't see. The things lurking just past the firelight in your imagination.
So next time you're out in the woods, maybe think twice before turning off that flashlight, huh? You never know what's watching.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the Blair Witch Project, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more explorations of the films that have us sleeping with the lights on. Until next time, thanks for joining us in the deep dive.